Mo ti join o, but mi gbọ́ voice now.
Of the time, of us refer to as the new normal, should physically be congregating. Ordinarily, we should physically refer to as the new. Ordinarily, we should physically be congregating in one of the states of the Federation today. But for the mood of the time, little thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, ladies and gentlemen, the worth of any leader is in that leader's adaptability to change. And exactly that is what the present leadership has logged in, to have a hybrid that would permit a very few of us, in consonance with the social distancing rule, to be seated here, whilst others will join us virtually. And when I mean virtually, both within and outside the confines of the Federation of Nigeria. I'm very sure, ladies and gentlemen, that this would continue to be a model, not only in our industry, but in the entire space. I'm most delighted to respectfully inform you that our president is not physically here, but she's virtually present with us. I'm talking about the 20th female and the second female president of our council, Dr. Mrs. Bola Onigbogi. Dr. Mrs. Bola Onigbogi, you're welcome. Can we give a virtual applause?
Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I already have seated here the very able physical representative of our president, incidentally the deputy president of our council, Barrister Rotimi Edu-MNI. Ladies and gentlemen, when the idea of the 2020 CEOs Empowerment Series came on stream, the management in its wisdom thought about who should be the most appropriate personality to chair this very, very insightful program. And of course, they have zeroed in on one of the Amazons of business in Nigeria, a lawyer of international repute, a woman with a very noble spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the very few women to sit atop of the cosmopolitan Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Ladies, I have Mrs. Toki Mabogoje as chairman. You're welcome, ma'am. It is my honor and privilege to also say that we have our vice president already seated here on the chain of the presidents. Our vice president, Mr. Babatunde Oguntade. You're welcome, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do we have the MD of our sponsor company, Universal Insurance PLC, here? Okay, he's going to join us shortly, but please, I think they are worthy of an applause. Universal Insurance PLC has chosen to be that broker-friendly company that will sail with us in this very new conception. Universal Insurance PLC, we appreciate you a lot. Thank you. God bless you and God bless your business. Please also permit me to say that we have seated here the whole essence of a virtual or hybrid meeting is timelessness or promptness of time. So I will not be able to go over the protocol of recognitions one after the other, but everyone here are top executives in their own right. Some of them are distinguished board members of our council and leaders of our council. They are all seated here. With promptings of members who are joining virtually. And I must do them the honor of also recognizing all of them. But specifically, ladies and gentlemen, we have already on the loop the Kabiyesi, the Jegu of Ileoluji Kingdom, His Royal Majesty Oba Julius Adetimehin. Oba Julius Adetimehin is actually one of the very few insurance personages on the throne of his fathers today. He's equally a distinguished fellow of our esteemed council as well as the CRIN. Please, can we greet Kabiyesi by saying Kabiyesi o?
Kabiyesi o.
Told that our Commissioner for Insurance Nigeria, under his tenure, our efforts at strategic engagement with critical stakeholders have materialized. And of course, the industry is on a steady path of growth, courtesy of his very, very dynamic leadership. May I recognize the presence online of the Commissioner for Insurance Nigeria, Mr. O.S. Thomas. Please, can we recognize our Commissioner? Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, can I request that we take the national anthem? And we go it physically. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's calling. With our strength of faith, our heroes shall never be made to serve without our mind. One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Can we say a word of prayer in line with our various religious persuasions? Let's tell the Almighty God, let's thank Him for this day. Can we appreciate Him for the gift of life, which is the greatest gift to mankind? Can we commit the entirety of today's program into His hands, as going to take absolute control of every aspect of it? From me, I say in Jesus' name. Thank you. We may be seated. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to hook up with the president of our council, under whose leadership this council has continued to take pivotal leaps, especially in line with our set mandate of image projection and strategic engagement. Dr. Mrs. Bola Onibogi, FCIB, you may wish to speak to us now, the president.
Thank you, Tokwe. Good morning, all. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
We are with you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, that's all right. The Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. O.S. Thomas, the Chairman of the day, the President, SCCI, our respected Mrs. Toki Mabogunje, I appreciate you for coming physically to join us. Thank you so much. Royal Father of the Day, the Jegun of Ile Oluji Kingdom, HRM, Oba Julius Adetimi Leyin. Thank you. Distinguished members of the NCRI Big Governing Board, our elders, guest speakers, management team of Universal Insurance to the first series of CEOs Empowerment 2020. It is expedient for me to inform you that the birth of CEOs Empowerment series came as a result of the new normal occasioned by the rampaging COVID-19 pandemic. It has actually created new ways and methods of doing things. For example, instead of physical meetings, virtual meetings have come to the front burner of training and relationships at the individual and corporate levels. At the council's level, it is no more news that most of our scheduled programs, such as international trips, CEOs retreats, bi-monthly members evening, and all be affected, as we were forced to even cancel some of the programs, no thanks to the dreaded pandemic. One of the cardinal objectives of our council is to train and retrain our members to be on top of issues, as well as be abreast of information that's a germane to the growth of our industry. I'm pleased to inform you that with the CEOs Empowerment Series, we have further opened the vista of training opportunities for our members. The 2020 CEOs Empowerment Series is hybrid of virtual and physical meeting. due to social distancing restriction occasioned by the pandemic. As you can see, we have the Deputy President, Barrister Rotimi Edu MNI, the Vice President, Mr. Tunde Ogunsade, our guest speakers and Chairman of Session, who will be addressing us from the studio. Also, some of our referred board members, Management Committee, and EOC members are physically present at the Secretariat. While participants will join the retreat virtually. It is also interesting to inform you that the Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, is also virtually here with us to participate in this program. We appreciate your esteemed presence. At the appropriate time, the Commissioner will address us. For an enriched intellectual empowerment series, our guest speakers will be doing justice to the subject, X-raying the Finance Act 2020 as the main theme paper, and work ethics, poise and etiquette for optimum performance as the soft topic. Definitely, the choice of the theme is very timely and very relevant to the sustainability of our business at a time like this. It is, in my opinion, that the theme and the subtopic will address many unanswered questions about the federal government's policy on finance Act 2020, as well as place on our doorsteps some tips on work ethics and etiquette that are required for optimum performance, culminating in better business environments. Permit me to appreciate our guest speakers who are here already, in spite of their tight schedules. In no particular order, I recognize the presence of Mrs. Dame Gladys, the President, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, who is ably represented by Mr. Tayo Gungbenro, the Dean of the Institute of Tax Faculty and partner with KPMG, who is also an expert as far as tax issues in Nigeria is concerned. I have an assurance that Mr. Ogungbenro will dissect the subject of Finance Act 2020 and enlighten us more on our responsibilities as far as the act is concerned. I'm sure Mrs. Gladys will have loved to be here personally today, but due to the ongoing CITN retreat. In a like manner, let me appreciate the presence of Mr. Olusegun McMedal, a chief reputation strategist at Opticom Marketing Company, who will handle work ethics, poise, and etiquette for optimum performance. He is a passionate storyteller, a relationship builder with social media management skills. He is a creative thinker with active problem-solving skills. I'm more persuaded that he will leave no stone unturned as far as the subject is concerned. To chair this special session, Mrs. Toki Mabogunje, the President of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, a Fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, an Institute Boardroom Guru, who specializes in business development, value chain development, project financing, strategic organization and management. Our passion for insurance growth is not in doubt. I have once led the current management team of the council on a courtesy visit to our office after my investiture. Our wealth of knowledge and disposition to insurance amazed me. I'm not quite surprised that she consented to chair this event in spite of her busy schedule. We appreciate you, Madam. Thank you so much. God bless you. Surely, the Empowerment Series will bring immense value, not only to the individual members, but also the member companies and our council. I must not forget to appreciate Universal Insurance PLC for electing to sponsor this special event. Universal Insurance PLC has again edged its name among brokers-friendly insurance companies in Nigeria. We are very proud to associate with you, and we have no doubt that your company will get good value for taking this pivotal step. At the appropriate time, the managing director will be given the opportunity to address us. In conclusion, I must not forget to appreciate the Royal Father of the Day, one of our most referred insurance professionals in Nigeria today, a past president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, CIN, and a fellow of our council. Your Royal Majesty, the Jegun of Ile Oluji, Oba Julius Oluwole Adetimileyin, our own FCIB, who will be giving his royal blessing on this event. We appreciate you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm most delighted to declare the 2020 CEOs Empowerment Series opened for the upliftment of our council and enrichment of our members. Thank you so much, as I enjoin you to take the utmost benefits that this program will provide. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
So you could ask if it's
Can I be on? Director of Programs. Can I come onto the program? Director of Program. Oh my God. Actually, I'm moved like
Yeah.
yeah?
Yes. We can hear you. We can hear
I can go on.
you. 2 minutes.
Hmm? No audio, please.
Okay.
Dr. He's God hearing you. Are you sure you are muted?
Yes, you have unmuted Kabisi.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
All right. Let me stand on the existing protocols for us to manage the time we have in the most effective manner. I feel highly honored and delighted by the invitation of our ever ebullient and dynamic president and chairman of council, Dr. Mrs. Bola Onibugi, to the NCRIB 2020 CEOs Empowerment Series. It is my pleasure to take this opportunity to commend our president for her efforts in upscaling the image and reckoning of NCRIB amongst the committee of professional associations, especially when reflecting on a number of her impressive landmarks since she ascended the presidency. Let me also welcome warmly our distinguished council members, all the retreat program resource personalities, and all the CEOs of brokers, companies, delegates, and participants. I wish to appreciate your courage and interest in offering to participate in this retreat, regardless of the COVID-19 restrictions and control measures. The theme of the 2020 CEOs Retreat, X-raying the Finance Act 2020, is quite apt and thoughtful of the planners, as it will no doubt be an added value and at the same time enriching to all practitioners, including all the delegates. This is in consideration of the very rich profile of the array of eminent facilitators that have been put together across the globe, coupled with the state of the global economy and the ravaging effects of COVID-19 pandemic. We are all aware the main provisions of the Finance Act 2020 and all that it offers for all practitioners, the brokerage confraternity not being an exception. There are the inherent gains and benefits, and there are areas that call for our utmost constructive criticisms for possible amendment in the near future. In the meantime, we'll be taking a good advantage of what it offers for the growth of our companies and our sector of the economy. It gladdens my heart on this note to convey my royal blessings and best wishes to all distinguished delegates at this webinar, the virtual outing of the NCRIB in 2020. I must also pray for our president and her council members for more wisdom and enablement required to record more landmarks and take the NCRIB to higher heights, not only in Nigeria, but globally. And for all the delegates, I pray the essence of your coming on this program shall be accomplished by the special grace of God. Long live SCRIB, long live Nigeria insurance industry, and long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Kabiyesi. It's good to see you growing ageless by the day.
Yes.
Glory be to God Almighty.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Kabiyesi. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank God. We thank God for your life. The throne is sweeter than the insurance market.
If you so declare.
Thank you. Thank you, Kabiyesi. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are striding forward by linking up with the Commissioner for Insurance Nigeria. I told you earlier on that the industry has continued to witness very, very steady growth and development under his dynamic leadership. Yes. It is my honor and privilege to invite our own Commissioner, Mr. O.S. Thomas, to address us. Mr. Commissioner, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. The President and Chairman in Council, Mrs. Bola Onigbogi, our royal father, Oba Adetimehin, the Jegun of Iloluji, council members of the NCRIB, colleagues at the National Insurance Commission, chairperson and key speakers for the day, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to congratulate the President and Chairman of the Governing Council of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers and members of our team for putting this together, notwithstanding the precarious prevailing global atmosphere. The will to hold this year's retreat and your ability to adapt to current realities in the wake of this COVID-19 is commendable. Among the most affected businesses are the service businesses requiring physical contact, which are beloved profession force within, given that most often than not, product distribution require face-to-face contact for us to get the buy-in of our potential clients, and in most cases, to close businesses. This year has no doubt been a very challenging one for our sector. Individual households and the economy at large as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, to us in the insurance sector, what this situation has thrown up is that there must be a paradigm shift from our usual way of business practice. It is therefore imperative on us to embrace and align our businesses to the new world order if we must be seen to be relevant. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important for me at this point to let you know that your regulator, the National Insurance Commission, is also adjusting to the challenges and opportunities which the pandemic has thrown at us on the socio-economic and business environment. Among the fallouts on COVID-19 are the following. The recapitalization program has been reviewed and extended in recognition of the current realities. Automation of the Commission's processes for prompt service delivery has been fast-tracked. The e-portal for regulatory submission of various applications by operators and renewal documents are obtaining e-approvals. They are in the final stage. The framework for digitalization of operations, such as IT standards for the insurance industry, web aggregators, regulatory sandbox. These are some of the programs that are fast progressing. Brothers and sisters, suffice to say that the annual NSRIB retreat for CEOs has always been an avenue to interact and share ideas for the betterment of the insurance broking business in particular, and the insurance sector at large. It will delight you to know that the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, will always take keen interest in the deliberations and subsequent outcomes from these annual gatherings. Some of your past retreats have contributed to the shaping of certain regulations and policies of the Commission. Your choice of the theme, Explain the Finance Act 2020, is apt and couldn't have come at a better time than now, when the heat of the COVID-19 pandemic is taking its toll on the financial services sector. Mr. Chairperson, the previous tax laws were quite stringent on insurance operators in various manners. It permitted double taxation by taxing investment income and policyholders' funds. It allowed tax losses to be carried forward only for a maximum of 4 years of assessment, contrary to what was obtainable in other businesses. Tax deductible claims and other outgoings were limited to 25% of total premium for general business, in contrast to what was obtainable with other businesses. Of course, the previous tax laws did not allow for full tax deduction on unexpired risk provision in relation to the financial year. Ladies and gentlemen, my task today is to give a goodwill message. It is not to deliver a speech or make a presentation. I am very sure the erudite guest speakers, who are well qualified in their own rights, as you have assembled them, they will do justice to the theme of the retreat, which I believe will be quite beneficial to participants. But before I take my leave, I want you to know that business etiquette and ethics generally in all our professional dealings are very key and central. Note that the unprofessional conduct of a few amongst us is posing greater challenge to our collective integrity as an industry. Over the years, a lot has been put into improving the fragile image and protection of insurance in this country. It is high time that we all rise to the menace of unethical business behavior in our sector. As the insurance industry positions itself for post-COVID-19 era, the demands of the insuring public will require sound working ethics for us to optimize performance. Chairperson, I want to say this, that as intermediaries, business sincerity and customer satisfaction must be central to our core business values and principles. The Commission has always and will at all times extend her full support to all stakeholders in the industry in their drive for business growth and development. The Commission is open to new ideas and shall continue to introduce new reforms and initiatives in line with international best practices that will strengthen our institutions. On a final note, Chairperson, Council members, our Royal Father of the Day, speakers, ladies and gentlemen, let me once again thank you all and all other insurance institutions for your response to the donation in support of the federal government's effort to tame the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. On behalf of the federal government and also the National Insurance Commission in particular, I sincerely appreciate your contributions to this noble cause. On the final line, this is something that happens once in a year. Take advantage of this, the theme of this retreat. And I believe that we are going to come out better for it. Thank you have fruitful deliberations, and God bless.
Mr. Commissioner, we appreciate you very well. I have also been told that we have on the loop all the top management of NICOM, led outside of the commissioner by the Deputy Commissioner for Insurance Technica, Malam Sabiu Abubakar. Malam Abubakar, thank you for being on the loop. And I've been told that the Deputy Commissioner of Finance and Admin is also there. That's Mr. Oba Olani. Thank you very much, and other distinguished members of board and management of NICOM. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to inform you that we already have seated here the Managing Director and CEO of our sponsor company, Universal Insurance PLC, a company that has continued to go universal. And an extension of that is what they have done today by reaching out to those operators that control 70% of the market share of insurance in Nigeria, i.e. the brokers. Mr. Ben Ojuatono, you're welcome, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, can I also humbly request the representative of Mrs. Dame Gladys, Mr. Tayo, to please come on stage. He's going to do justice to the paper at the appropriate time. Thank you very much, sir. Please, a round of applause for him. Please come over. You're welcome, sir. Yes, thank you very much. Well, that is actually a Mrs. Yeah, so, but he's coming in the frame of a man today. Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I would like to humbly allow the chairman of this very great event to take over from now while I take the breather for a while. It may interest us to know that the chairman of this day was actually one of the earliest boards here today. And that's very, very typical of her. A round of applause for her. I'm presenting to you, ladies and gentlemen, a woman of distinction, a woman of class, a top management guru, a very, very dynamic and versatile boardroom guru. Ladies and gentlemen, the one who sits on top of the very, very pivotal Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries today. And you know what I mean by that. Please, can I crave our indulgences to please give a very, very encouraging applause to the chairman of today, who is going to take over from now, from me. Mrs. Toki Mabuguje. Ma'am, thank you very much, ma'am.
I don't know why they didn't put this stuff here.
Thank you very much.
You're on, ma'am.
Thank you very much, our distinguished Master of Ceremony. The President and Chairperson of Council, the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, NCRIB,
Dr. Mrs. Bola Onibuki, our royal father of the day, the Jegun of Leoluji Kingdom, His Royal Majesty Oba Adetimehin, the Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. O.S. Thomas, all board members and executive officers of NICOM here present, our esteemed panelists, members of the council, officers, and members of NCRIB here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome you all to this session of the CEO's retreat as organized by the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers. I would like to commend the efforts and the commitment of the NCRIB towards the promotion and protection of the interests of insurance brokers. I also acknowledge the dedication of the Council to capacity building of its members and the preservation of professionalism in the insurance brokerage business. I appreciate this invitation that has been extended to me to chair this session of the retreat. The theme for this year's retreat, which is titled X-Raying the Finance Act, is apt, having regard to the wide-ranging implications of the act for the insurance industry, especially around issues of taxation. Many insurance practitioners have in fact applauded this act. This morning, we have eminent panelists who will give us deeper insights into the implications of the Finance Act for the insurance industry. Beyond the commendations of the Act, perhaps there are other issues that need to be addressed. I look forward to a robust discussion on the various dimensions of these issues. I urge participants to listen to our panelists, our speakers with rapt attention so that we can make the session as participatory as possible. I am sure the outcome of this session will be of great value both to the practitioners and the policymakers. It is my pleasure now to introduce the first speaker. Mrs. Dame Gladys Olajumoke Simplis finished high school at St. Gregory's College of Alinde, Lagos, and proceeded to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where she graduated with a BSc in economics. She trained in accountancy at AB Alabi & Co., Alabi Bako Ekundare & Co., Chartered Accountants and Secretaries, and was thereafter employed as an assistant accountant at Transcontinental Fisheries Limited in Lagos. In August 1982, she commenced her tax career with the Federal Inland Revenue Department, now known as the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and retired after 27 years of a fulfilling and meritorious service. She became the head of channels management of the Corporate Communications Department of FIRS in 2009. There, she initiated the idea of a revenue museum, which is still a work in progress at the FIRS. She has played a strong supportive role in the development of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria since 1982 and continues to provide total commitment to the Institute to this date. She has successfully headed several committees of council, and until her election as the 14th president of the CITN, she was the chairman of the Finance and General Purpose Committee. Mrs. Dame Gladys Olajumoke Simplis is very ably represented by Mr. Tayo Ogungbenro. He's a tax partner with KPMG. He's a top-rated expert at the CITN and one of Nigeria's leading experts in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Tayo Ogungbenro to the podium. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
And my colleagues on the IT who at the back. Good morning. My name is Tayo Ogugbenro, and I'm here to represent the chairperson of the Chartered Institute Association of Nigeria. Like has been said, I am a partner in KPMG, and I've been working on a taxation of insurance companies for about 12 years now. And I've handed over to a colleague of mine about 5 years ago, but because I'm still a member of CITN as the dean of the faculty in charge of direct taxation, I've been asked to come and represent my chairperson here. So thanks for the opportunity, and we really appreciate it. Just this morning before I left home, because I was discussing with a banker that one of the sectors that has been highly underrated in the Nigerian economy today is the insurance sector. So many factors, very complex. But the most important thing is that the sector is still operating far, far, far below of what it should be. In the financial services sector in some other economies of the world, you realize that the likes of the insurance sectors are playing a bigger role compared to the banks, which has made the banks to also show interest in having stake in insurance companies. But be that as it may, I think gradually the sector is coming up, and I hope that maybe before, if you permit me, this generation pass away, the sector will grow to the level that it's expected to be. So I will just be extracting the Finance Act for 2020. As we will have it, there was a journey that we started about 10 years ago with the insurance sector. Because one way or the other, we didn't know who woke up. Who did insurance sector offend in the government sector to have such a stringent tax legislation that was more stringent, if you permit me to use the word, more draconian compared to all other sectors. And the battle lasted for over 10 years before we now had the change in the Finance Act. But be that as it may, let me also just say one thing before I go into the details. It's not going to be a long presentation. I will focus on the areas that pertain to your sector while I also do a global review. What we have realized is that we now have democracy in Nigeria. So we now need to play a better role in ensuring that our legislature do what, I won't say what pleases us, but what is good for everybody. So insurance sector need to take more active role in tax legislation in addition to the normal legislation that affects the industry. So most of the things that we have here is been a journey of presentation to management, to policymakers, to authorities, that eventually took them almost 10 years before they decided to make the change in tax law. Okay, you can be changing it for me. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I can see the problem. All right. It's important. I will review the Finance Act as we have it. What are the major changes contained in the Finance Act, and what are the changes that affect the insurance brokers? And what's our suggestion? Let's look at the very first one, which is the overview of the legislation itself. Ike. Sorry. So the overview. The very first focus of government was to raise revenue. They were very clear about it. They needed money badly. The country is running bankrupt. We don't want to deceive ourselves. So government needed money. And the major thing that everybody knew was about the increase in VAT rate to 7.5%. And they also made changes in excise duties, whereby excise duty now applied to imported items. Or you also pay the same duty just to create a level playing field. And there's something that is called think capitalization. I won't bother you with that details. Another major thing was to review our tax law in line with the global tax reform. And this is where we call what is called digital and service rule. For all of us that are seated here, one way or the other, you have spent a certain amount of money on the electronic transaction today. Whether you like it or not, whether somebody is doing it on your behalf or not. But our country is lagging far behind in collecting tax that goes on around the place. So government needed to find a way to say, I want to be taxing that economy. As of today, I think about a month ago, it was reported that Facebook, the owner of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, his revenue had increased to, his net worth is now over 100 billion US dollar. And if somebody of that status can come to Yaba to come and hit our local food, it's not that he missed his way to Nigeria. He came to Nigeria, he spent some time, he ate our food. What really happened essentially is that they noticed that there are a group of people that are pushing the traffic in Nigeria and they're making money from this place. So, but our tax law did not incorporate how we suggest such people to taxation. So government needed to make amendments in our tax law to accommodate how we suggest such people to tax. And the place of supply rules for VAT was also modified. What it means is that for we used to have discussion that where do you supply things, especially with imported items, where is it produced? Government just modified the rule around that place. Now, they also now provided some targeted incentives, which is to encourage some sectors. Like we know that we are really running behind in terms of housing for all. So government introduced a legislation there to encourage investment in that sector. And for the insurance sector, this is a very good one for us. When we have a lot of funds that are lying in our books, government is now encouraging us to divert funds to the real estate sector and make it a tax neutral arrangement. The next one you have is for the tax rate for small and medium scale enterprises. Prior to this time, everybody pays tax rate of 30% and so reduced. But government has not come out with graduated rate. If your turnover is less than 25 million, you don't need to pay any tax. If your turnover is less than 100 million, government say come and pay about 20%. So they introduce some incentives there. And then we also have a early tax payment bonus. Before you start to pay your tax from when you file the return, government now say if you pay the tax before you file the tax returns, you have some incentive. Then the next major thing that was also done, try to be achieved by the is to promote what is called fiscal equity. We now have better insurance tax rule. I've mentioned that one. There's used to be what is called excess dividend tax. Government put that provision there to say that if you are sharing money with the shareholders and you have not paid your tax, then the amount of money that you are paying to your shareholders as dividend, I will deem it as your taxable income. So give me 30% of it so that we cannot go. But that has been modified now. And we also have the tax rule is now also simplified. We usually have graduated rate, the first 25%, the first. They just simplify it now. 0.5% of your turnover is the non-tax rule. Then the ease of doing business, VAT schedule, like I already mentioned, and electronic correspondence with tax authorities. Now, since the lockdown, we are able to practice tax fully from home. In fact, this is the first time since March 15 that I'm putting on a suit. And since March 15, I've not stepped into our office. And the most productive part of my life has been the last 6 months in the last 25 years. Because we are now able to work seamlessly with the tax authority. We discuss online, you file your objection, you do everything from the confines of your house. So that has now also been incorporated into the tax law, which is a major thing to the Finance Act. Now, we also realize that the purpose of the Finance Act was to actually guide the policy direction. Government intends that let's not be using tax to stimulate economic growth, stimulating growth by adopting globally recommended tax reforms. Most of these reforms that we have here have been done in other countries. So government will just copied what is going on in the rest of the world so as to move Nigeria to the global space. And there is also what is called a base erosion and profit shifting, whereby people are doing businesses in a particular jurisdiction. A lot of economic activities are taking place in that economic jurisdiction. But if you compare the tax they pay in that jurisdiction is very low. So that has also not been incorporated into our tax law. And government is actually trying to redirect focus away from direct tax. In which case, anytime you conduct a transaction, they want you to pay tax in a way that you don't even realize that you have paid the tax. So we are moving away gradually from direct tax to indirect tax. Even though this journey has taken about 15 years, but at least we have taken a step in a very long while. So government is moving gradually because by this Finance Act now, what is expected now is that this is now will now happen annually. So I think the committee that was set up to do this job has not been disbanded. They are also expected to be receiving comments from people, check out this is working out, so that by the time we are coming out with 2021 budget, government expected that if there's anything we have not addressed properly here or anything we need to introduce, it will be incorporated. But I think COVID has affected a bit. Notwithstanding, I think they are still working on that because what it intends to do is that any amendment now will not be put into the budget. So that they are passing the budget like they do in the rest of the world. When you are passing the budget to say this is how you are going to spend money, simultaneously you should be asking yourself, how am I going to get the money that I intend to spend? So that's the essence of now having this financer that will not be part of the budgeting process. And we have also tried to eliminate incentives that we perceive as detrimental to the Nigerian economy. There are some incentives there, they are very old, they are no longer relevant. This Finance Act has tried to address it. Now, let us now go to the major changes in the Finance Act. Let me start from the very first top level here, which is revision of commencement and cessation rules. We adopted the comment, for those of us that are familiar with us or did a bit of accounting, we have some funny commencement rule and cessation rule. Let me just explain in a very simple way. Companies are required to pay tax on preceding year basis. That is, the profit you made in 2019 is what you used to pay tax in 2020. But what happens the very year that you start business? If I start business in 2020, what tax am I going to pay? We had one funny rule to say that year is now your preceding year, technically speaking. So you pay tax on 2020. Now, when you get to 2021, government say, no, that 20, you need to repeat it for you to pay tax for 2021 again. So you find yourself companies paying double tax for at least one of the years within the first 3 years of commencing business. That has now been removed, in which case just streamline is very straightforward. So commencement and cessation rule has been amended in line with what happened in the rest of the world. I've mentioned there was also the issue of a minimum tax, which is now 0.5% of turnover. And under the minimum tax, we used to have what is called, if you have a foreigner that has bought in 25% of his equity, do not pay minimum tax. People said that that is not fair. How could a foreigner be having a better incentive compared to me that I'm local? If I'm paying minimum tax and supporting the infrastructure in the economy, then let the foreigner also pay the same thing or bring this 25% imported equity. Actually, let me tell you what people also do. To enjoy this incentive, Nigeria just take money out of the country and introduce it to their capital as a 25% imported equity. So let's enjoy it. So government said, I know what you guys are doing. They've removed it. Then there's the 20% tax rate now for medium-sized companies if you have a turnover below 100. Then there's also the issue that was very touchy, which was excess dividend tax. I'd also mentioned that one initially. The issue of excess dividend tax was very simple. Government, like I said, government said, any year that you are paying your shareholders dividend, me too, you must give me something. Even though you make a loss, that year I don't care. If money is going to your shareholder, money must also come to government. But what really happened is that, government is different from individual. Why should government be competing with investors? There's not every year that companies do turn around a profit. But the people that have put money down, they need some form of return. So companies do have a way of paying dividend. they could pay dividend from retained earnings. So instead of government taking that money all over again, say you have to pay tax on a profit that has been subject to tax, it was creating issue. There are two cases in court as we speak. One is Wando. I can't remember the case. That of Wando has got to Supreme Court because they say it just does not make sense. But this has now been addressed in the tax law, whereby asset dividend tax law has now been modified, and they give about 4 exceptions to say that if you have paid tax on the profit before and you are not declaring a profit that has suffered CIT to dividend in another year, please don't pay CIT again. There are other 3 rules there, but because of time, let me just go quickly to the next. Then there's the amendment of the schedule of tax exemption for interest on a foreign loan. We know that if you are bringing a foreign loan to the country for which the repayment period is about 7 years with a moratorium period of 2 years, government said no withholding tax. That has now been modified slightly so as not to grant complete exemption. They've graduated it out to about 70%, 40, and 20. Then there's also introduction of framework for taxation of securities and lending transactions. That has also been streamlined now, just to make sure that tax is not inhibiting financial ingenuity, creativity that is going to spur economic growth. Then there is also what is called non-deductible of related party interest expense that exceeds 30% of EBITDA. Before, companies have a very funny way, multinationals, as alleged by government or as perceived by government, that you could have a company, they have a very low capital. Then the bulk of their fund for doing business is a foreign loan. And now when they pay interest on that foreign loan, there's hardly anything left that they pay CIT upon. And because withholding tax on the interest payable on foreign loan is maximum of 10%, in some instances, like I said, you can not even paying anything. They realize that the profit that is not liable to CIT is very low. So government introduced a limitation rule. And the limitation rule is that the interest that you can pay on a related party transaction, excluding interest payable to banks, and possibly, you cannot say insurance company if that is your line of business, excluding those items. But once you are paying interest to a related party, other than people that are operating in the banks and the financial services industry, then what it says that you cannot pay more than 30% of your EBITDA as interest that will be liable for tax purposes. You can pay 100% to them, but when it comes to determining the tax CIT, they will only limit to 30% of earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Then there's a requirement for banks to request for evidence of tax payment before funds remittance. This is just to ensure it is a sort of compliance. It's a sort of compliance to ensure that everybody is paying tax. There's also changes to domestic permanent establishment rule to capture the digital economy, as mentioned earlier. I've also talked about bonus for early payment of taxes. And there is the deletion of restriction on carry forward of losses. That I also talked a little bit about before, which was applicable to the insurance company. Before, in the last 15 years, government had a system that you can carry forward your losses indefinitely. But for the insurance sector, they said, no, you are richer. You cannot carry forward your losses more than 4 years. But that has now been amended so that you can also carry forward the losses indefinitely. Now, we have some other amendments that we have there. The next slide, please. There's also introduction of amendment to accommodate electronic and digital transaction. And there's also, the one I also want to talk about is withholding tax. Before, when you enter most rental agreement, you see the landlord will say, pay me net. You bear any tax that is paid to government, they'll say this rent is net of all taxes. All. So tenants end up paying withholding tax on behalf of a landlord. Government has now said that if you do that, any withholding tax that you pay on behalf of anybody will not be permitted for tax purposes. So what government intends to do is to encourage everybody to bear the brunt of taxation, whereby let landlord also know how much people are paying in that regard. Then there's also increased penalty for non-compliance with VAT filing. The penalty used to be very minimal before. Now it has been increased just to encourage everybody to pay, to file their VAT returns. And there's also increase in minimum amount of compensation for loss of office exempted from CGT. If you are receiving compensation for loss of office, there was no limitation. The government says now, if you are paying you 10 million naira for losing your office, come and pay tax on the excess. Because they also realize that some ingenuity have been created there. What is a legal requirement to be paid to people? People now push it to compensation for loss of office. The government said, okay, no problem, but let there be a limitation on what you can take as tax free. Government has also come out with better clarity when companies are doing business restructuring. When there was a recapitalization in the banking industry and they were doing lots of merger and acquisition, there was CGT exposure in particular. The government has now said if you are doing business restructuring for the purpose of better management efficiency, you don't have to pay CGT. So those are some of the other amendments that we have. Now, let us now review the provision that affects the insurance companies. Number one, which is the major one, which I've also talked about, is the carry forward losses. Insurance companies are now permitted to carry forward their losses indefinitely. Then there's unexpired risk provisions. Before, for cargo and general insurance businesses, the amount that will be allowable when determined tax is 25% of total premium for marine cargo insurance and 45% of total premium for other insurance businesses. These are the, in terms of unexpired risk provisions, that is the maximum that is allowed for taxes. But now, they have now argued to say, no, it doesn't work that way. We have our own way of computing our unexpired risk provisions. So the law now permits that let this now be done on time apportionment basis. Not just you say 45%, 25%, irrespective of what happened. So the limitation is now computed for unexpired risk provisions on time apportionment basis for the purpose of determining tax deductibility. And the minimum tax that's also applicable is now 0.5% of gross premium for general insurance and 0.5% of gross income of life insurance companies. Before, it wasn't very clear this way, such that companies were paying minimum tax even on premium for life. So the government has now said, look, people have said, the premium is not my money. The only thing that is attributable to us is just the income from investing those funds. So let the tax that you're going to take be a function of the income, not the capital. Then tax deductible claims. Tax deductible claims and other business expenses of general insurance business was limited to 25% of total premium. Now, this provision has now been repealed. Insurance companies can now deduct all insurance expenses as applicable to other companies, because there was a limitation there that you cannot take the generally allowable expenses. They limited it to 25% of total premium. But government, which is also what happens to every other person in the banks as well. If you actually check the financials of some banks, they've never had to pay tax for a very long period, especially after the recapitalization. Some of them are still carrying forward the losses that was made in the company that were acquired, and they're able to take it indefinitely and they're not paying tax. So why do the limitation for the insurance sector initially? So government has now allowed to say, no, let's also remove it so as to create a level playing field for everybody. Then policyholders' income. Companies engaged in life insurance were assessed to tax on investment income attributed to both shareholders and a policyholder. The finance has, however, modified this provision and limit the taxable income of life insurance to investment income attributable to shareholders. Because that is the business they are doing. It is only investment income that is attributable to us that you cannot consider to subject to tax in our hands. When we are keeping money for people that we're going to give the money to them, you don't have to put tax. We don't have to ask us to pay tax on an income that does not belong to us. So that has also been modified. Those are the major things that happen in the insurance company, in the finance act for the insurance sectors. Now, For the changes that we impart the insurance brokers, what are the changes? And this is the last part of the presentation. And very quickly, the very first one that we think some brokers may actually think about is this issue of reduced tax rate, whereby if you are having 25 million naira turnover and below, you don't have to file tax returns. If it's 100 million naira and below, you pay CIT at 20%. There are some planning that can be done around this way, but this is not the platform for discussing such things. But it's something that you could consider as brokers. The other one that is also of interest is early tax payment bonus. Though it's very redundant, but what government says is that I can no longer wait for 1 year to collect my tax. In some other countries, like even in the petroleum industry, you pay tax as you make the money. So on monthly basis, government wants you to say, what profit did you make this month? Come and pay the tax this month. When we get to the end of the year, we cannot sit down and say, have you overpaid or underpaid, and we can do the adjustment. So under the early tax payment agreement now, government says, if you pay the tax, I think 90 days before the filing returns, I will give you a bonus. Otherwise, if you don't pay the tax, if you are waiting till when you file the tax returns, then you pay the tax on the day your return is due to be filed. Then there is the issue of a minimum tax. This has now been the basis has now been recalibrated, and the way it is calculated is now 0.5% of turnover. Now we talk about taxes borne on behalf of another entity. I think for us, the insurance brokers, this may be some hard negotiation. The insurance companies may find it difficult now to bear withholding tax on your behalf, because if they do that one, that kind of withholding tax may not be liable for tax purposes. So depending on the agreement that you have the insurance companies on an individual cases, you should expect that you may be suffering some form of withholding tax deduction going forward now. And what that means is that you now have to learn to keep your records adequately. You need to learn to keep your record such that you don't have to pay the tax twice. What is most important is that when you collect your commission, if the tax has been withheld, you need to insist that they give you the evidence of the remittance or when you need to get it. Giving you the schedule only is sufficient, such that they give you the schedule and the evidence that they have remitted it. With that information, government is also developing the back office, the IT, such that as soon as the remittance is made, you see the credit in your K card or your tax record with FRS. And very soon, you should actually be getting an alert if we get the right technology. So, but it's, what you need to know now is that be keeping the records of your withholding tax deduction. Government has also talked of aspect relating to exempt income, in which case, if we are keeping a commission whereby, say for instance, we are earning some dividend or interest, any income that is no longer liable to tax, government says the aspect relating to that, I want you to separate from your books. So for us, insurance brokers, we now need to be more agile. We need to be more comprehensive in the keeping of records. We've worked with some companies in this sector, and most of us don't pay attention to our record at all. We don't, which is not very good. And government knows how to address this sector. They don't come and do every 1 year. They just come around and say, I want to do 5 years, 6 years, so that whatever they will get over a period of time will be material for them. So we need to be keeping our records very well. Then there's the issue of asset dividend tax exemption, which I explained earlier on. The next serious one in the room is what is called stamp duties. The issue of stamp duty is very, very important. But let me just tell you one thing. Government is moving faster than the law. Let me just say one thing, that it is high time that we get our institute, our associations. This is where they are created, such that anytime government is taking a move that is faster than the law, we should put a break. As we have it as of today now, there's what is called Joint Tax Board publication in respect of duties and rates that are payable under the stamp duties. But that is not in accordance with the law. You cannot change the rates for any reason except the National Assembly approves it. But guess what? The authority are using rates that are not approved by the National Assembly, but nobody is challenging. We had a case sometimes ago that one of our clients said, no, I'm not going to pay. I said, I agree. But it's not by telling him that you're not going to pay. You need to go to court and challenge. And you have a procedure. So when it comes to this stamp duty, we don't need to panic. First of all, there is Stamp Duty Act. It's readable by anybody. Or you can ask our consultant, what are the things that are, what are those things that we need to pay based on the law? If it contradicts what is in the JTB, we need to challenge it. And they are coming aggressively after all contracts. They presented it to say as if when you sign any contract, stamp duty is applicable. That's not the law. That's their own interpretation. So we need to bring them to the table to do what is in accordance with the law. So what I would just advise any one of us is that when we are signing an agreement, we are putting values, etc. Let's check the law. It's not impossible that before the end of the year, they will change the law to accommodate the rate. But until then, let's do what is needful. Now, let me also say one more thing at this point in time, because people have been asking to say, why do I need to do anything now? I will just give the experience with regards to transfer pricing. In 2012, government came out with transfer pricing regulation, and there was no penalty there. So the people wanted to complied. Majority just ignore. In 2018, government revised the transfer pricing regulation and put a penalty of 10 million per year for failure to file a form. And some companies need to file about 3 forms. So they had 30 million over 16 years. In fact, we calculated for a group of companies, they had about 9 companies, they've never complied in that place. The liability was about ₦1 billion. Based on the law. Now, what does the regulation now say? When I said, the government, why are you applying retroactively? They said, no, I'm not applying the law retroactively. No, retrospectively. What am I doing? As at the date the new regulation came out, in fact, the government did one funny thing. We are very smart in this country. The new regulation said, the transfer pricing regulation for 2018 said, it's, how do I put it? I'm trying to remember the particular word you use. It's used that, okay, the 2018 regulation revokes the 2012 regulation. Yeah, that's the word they use. So lawyers said the word revocation means as if 2012 regulation never existed. So that gave them the power now to be able to apply that 2018 regulation in respect of 2012 tax returns, TP that have not been filed in 2019. But they started to compute it from January 2019. I said, no, as at the day when I checked your record in 2019, I realized you have still not filed the 2012 return. So that 30 million is payable. So why am I saying this one now? Do not let us wait until those guys do another thing now that we say, I wish I had complied with my stamp duty before they introduce this one, because most of the agreement is nominal stamp duty you need to pay. Fine. But what if they put a penalty? If a new bill comes into, if a new act comes into play, to say, yes, you are still going to pay your 20 naira stamp duty on it. But for coming today to come and file, you pay 20 million as penalty. So I'm not fighting with the rate. I'm only, because what you have as penalty there used to be 20 naira or so, but they can change the penalty. And I guess that that's most likely that's what they will do. Because until there is a price, nobody complies. Until there is a sanction for non-compliance, people will not budge to do what? To comply. And finally is what is called the VAT implication. We'll talk about that one, increasing the rate from 5 to 10%, and they also put some amended the penalty. And we have what is called related party expenses. That has been modified. Now, the confusion that was between the act and the regulation has now been modified. The law now specifically requires the TP regulation to govern all related party transactions. So if you have insurance companies that are setting up okay, let me use this example whereby or you are giving brokerage agreement to your family members, to board members, to this, your TP documentation must be in place because there are also stringent penalties over there. The documentation also must also be very, very top notch. When the price of compliance is lower than the price of a non-compliance. So finally, our suggestions is that we suggest that just review all your records, either as an associate or as individual, and see the areas of gap that you need to fill very, very quickly. And when it comes to tax compliance, the way the government is going now, let's face reality. Whether the world likes it or not, one thing we have learned in the last 6 months is that this oil, the revenue will come to zero one day. Definitely. The rate at which people will move, people will use alternative to energy, people will work in different way, so many things will be done differently. So we will now come home to come and be sourcing revenue from our non-oil sector, which includes you and I, and all these things that we are doing. So there is need for every company to put their records in place, have a new accounting system. So many software are being sold cheaply. Some are even free. Adopt them and make sure that your record keeping is top notch. Thank you for listening and good morning. Yeah, and please let me recognize my colleague that put the paper together, Ikechukwu. Okay, thank you. Please, a round of applause for him.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Mr. Taiwo Ugumbenro. It is obvious that you're on top of your game. That's without a doubt. One of the things that intrigued me the most is how you took the whole discussion around the tax system and made it so simple. You know, one thing they say is that when you want to know a good presenter, if he can do it in less than 10 slides, then he's absolutely on top of his game. Please help me give him another round of applause. Thank you so much. So what is it that Taiwo is saying to us today? The first thing that struck me was his emphasis on the fact that we had been running behind time in terms of how we ran our tax system, and that this Finance Act 2020 is actually moving in line with global best practices. And we have to be very aware of this. And as insurance practitioners, how does this affect our businesses? He then divided his presentation into two major parts. One was to look at the general changes that we have in the tax system, and then two, how does it affect the insurance industry and what must you pay attention to? I'll just mention a few of those major changes. The whole issue around VAT increase in Lagos Chamber 2, we're screaming about that 7.5% and what it is doing to businesses generally. He talked about the excise duty increases, the reforms in tax collection. And please, what he's saying is true. Government is trying to get on top of its game with regards to tax collection. The situation is going to get, I don't want to use the word worse, but certainly they have to turn in words to look for their tax collection. He talked about the tax incentives, which are absolutely necessary if you want to look for investments. In encouraging investments, we've spent a lot of time in previous years looking for foreign direct investments. Honestly, if local people are not investing in their own country, it's difficult to get foreigners to be interested in that same economy. And I think I'll mention one more. He talked about how wonderful it was for him as a tax practitioner not to have to leave his home or his office to go and transact with the tax office. And that in the last 6 months has been seamless. I think the positive side, the extra positive side of that statement is that honestly, most of us as Nigerians, we have a negative lens when we look at our own country. There are just many problems when you think about it. But these are some of the positive things that are coming out of it. And that's a very big step in the right direction. So specifically with the insurance industry, you can now carry forward losses. He talked about how, it was almost as if with the previous regulations that we have, was there something people had against the insurance industry? Why is it like this for us? So things have increased, have improved. He talked about the time proportionment in terms of calculating tax on risk. He talked about the recalibration of minimum tax at 0.5%. I encourage everyone, as Taiwo has done, to really pay a lot more attention, as he has said in his recommendations, to keeping better records. It applies to all businesses, not just to the insurance industry. He says government is moving faster than the law. For some reason, I was very happy to hear him make that particular observation and that particular comment. Why? Why do our institutes and our associations exist? It's really to pay attention to these kinds of things. So what he has done, Mr. Guberu has thrown a challenge at the institute and saying to all the various agencies in this sector, get up, pay attention, look at what is happening with the implementation of the law. Do not wait for problems to present themselves before you begin to advocate in favor of your industry. Once again, Tyra, thank you so much for that. Please, another round of applause for him. I think at this time, I will call on our wonderful master of ceremony. I think there's supposed to be an interlude here with the sponsor.
Thank you very much, man. Please, can I have a voice? Yeah. Can I have a voice? Thank you. Thank you very much, man. Chairman. Your task is not fully done yet, but let me just throw in that we will take very few questions. I'm sure that it will come this way. Please, those of us that have questions here, we are taking marks of 5 questions in all because of our time, okay? So please, in case you're in this auditorium and you have a question, when we are done with you and Tayo notes your question, then we migrate to those in the virtual because we already have some who are itching to ask questions. So please, we take the advantage of your being present here to take you first, and then we quickly go over that.
All right, shall I take it again?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so there's been adjustment in the program, obviously.
Yes.
Shall I see a show of hands in the room here who would like to set the ball rolling with a question? Anyone?
Yes, I can.
Is not visible.
I can see. Please, just step forward.
Please come forward. Please come forward. And please introduce yourself before asking the question.
Sorry, let the camera capture you.
Please come forward. Thank you.
Give him. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Directly to my questions, I want to. My name is Abiodun Dodola. I work for multiple controls insurance brokers. From the paper of the speaker just now, I want to first of all ask the.
Could you face just face this camera here? Yes, here. You are live.
Yeah. The excess dividend tax, which you mentioned here, I wanted to elucidate on it. When will dividend become excess for any business? One, and the two. Second one is on the issue of minimum tax. This 25 million turnover thing. As a professional, I'm sure the people who set 25 million naira threshold must have looked at so many things. what advantages or disadvantages are there for those who stand on this threshold? Thank you.
Adam.
Do we have another kind of?
Yes, ma'am. There's somebody.
Please.
Speak up.
Yes, madam. Thank you. We face the camera.
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. My name is Justin Odoku, Starting Professional Brokers. Let's appreciate the total presenters and job very well done. He said the cost of non-compliance is more expensive than that of compliance. And in our industry, brokers particularly, we are used to compliance issues. So we like to comply. Now, my question is a bit, maybe a little bit elementary, or it concerns me and compliance issues. I'd like to find out, to talk about stamp duty. I know that for us in the insurance industry, we are to pay our stamp duty for printing documents and all that. But as insurance brokers, I'd like you to highlight, based on the credibility I drew from your introduction of yourself before your presentation, I'd like you to highlight laws, areas that stamp duty will actually concern as brokers, because you said that the laws will come up tomorrow that will be retrospective. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to announce to our participants, our virtual participants, please use the chat to put in your questions so that we can collect those rules coming to you. Yes, sir, please do come forward and ask your question.
Mr. Chairman, my colleagues, my name is Pedro Chimpungu. I work for Union Commercial. I just want to say that please further highlight what's the thing between the minimum rate and the tax payment. You know, we said 25 million if you generate more than 25 million tax. Now go up to say that after 100 million, you are subjected to the tax. You can understand from I think 5% of that. Now, what happens in this? And there are levels of tax payment that before you get 100 million. That's one. Number two, I just want to write on the back of assistant who has spoken that the standard in the chain of business movement in the insurance industry, there are three regions. When we have the insurance itself, we have the broker, and we have the underwriter, who are, in the real sense of it, they are the drafters of policy documents, which essentially, you can understand, still to give what we call evidence of the contract in itself. Who pays this ambiguity? And if it is, if all the parties that are involved are going to pay, what is the stream? What is the sharing from, or whatever it is? I don't want to be more educated. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Mr. Hubert, would you like to take those two chances?
No, I'm a too bad more late. I want more online. No, I have phone. My crave indulgence a lot of phone. These are the online questions we have phone through this phone.
The question of minimum time, the person that has a very first question.
Yeah, I'll get that one. So fair.
One is, I just need to get down there. Let me answer the other one. The number first, which is the asset dividends. When does dividend become assets? It's a very simple way. Government will just compare your taxable income against the dividend. Take for instance, if you are declaring a dividend of now the government will say it's your taxable income. There is a way we get the taxable income.
tax, you have that certainty, then when we now come to the amount we want to apply, 90% rate we compare that with dividend paid. Now, under the new act now, government has identified 4 areas that will no longer be considered as part of the, for the purpose of determining the dividend tax provision. They put one of them, like I said, is if you are declaring dividend from the retained earnings that you are already paying tax upon, that amount of money will no longer produce a real comparison. If you are paying tax from the income that has been decided as pioneer status, such will not be considered as part of dividend. You are declared for purpose of dividend comparison. If you also pay dividend for the frank investment income. So government has now streamlined this thing to make sure that they are comparing the dividend from income that has never enjoyed this exemption against the taxable income. So that's how it is designed. Now, this our sector, areas that will affect us in terms of the stamp duty, generally, if you go by the JTB or go by the FRS intention, it's like any form of contract. For our businesses, the area that we just need to watch out for, I think there are like lease agreement, rent agreement, I mean, that's one that comes to my okay, please let my colleague come and address those areas. Now, while it's coming, in terms of graduated tax rate, the minimum tax, if your turnover is below 25 million, as long as 25 million, no tax. You don't even need to file any tax returns. But from 25 million and one, any figure about 25 million up to 100 million naira, you pay tax rate of 20%. Once your turnover is above 100 million naira, you pay tax rate at 30%. At 30%. Now, what government do is to check that any day the turnover hits the particular figure. From the morning after, that is when this new tax rate we apply. Then, the issue of who pays the stamp duty, that's a very tricky one. And maybe the act will also be amended. The act talks of the beneficiary of the contract. So who is the beneficiary? Is he talking of the person collecting the money or the person that is benefiting from the from the service? It's also beneficiary. But let us know the approach of government. They go to the easiest way of collecting the money. So they just go to the company and they want to force the company to come and say, based on saying that beneficiary, you are the one benefiting from the service. So come and do what? Come and pay. They know it's not easy to run after individuals. So they will focus on company. Now, what we have realized that companies have started doing, interesting. Do you know that companies have started to put the stamp duty in agreement to say that the service provider will bear the money? The government says I should collect stamp duty. So they are already bypassing it. So when it comes to stamp duty, I think until there's further clarification, if there's no clarity in the law, what will happen is that it's based on negotiation. If you are in a stronger position during negotiation, you not pay the duty. Or, just like if you need my house and I'm the landlord, I'll just tell you, you have to put the stamp. So after we have agreed the fee for 100 million, I'll just say, I need to pay 1% to government as a duty, had it. We told him that's had it. So my total fee will be 115 million. But if you are not in a good bargaining position, whoever is weaker will be the one that Nigeria will work around it. So the issue of beneficiary is not so clear, but we should also just watch out anytime we are signing what agreement. But as company, we should watch out. We'll be the first point of contact and they come and check whether the duty has been paid or not. So please, my colleague will just address the issue of areas.
I think, good morning, everybody. All protocols duly observed. I think Tayo has actually addressed the main areas that would affect your business. So in signing agreements, you need to be careful. Of course, it varies, it depends on the agreement. There are different rates. As you may know, the stamp duties, there are documents that would be at fixed rates, and there are some that would be at ad valorem. And those ones that are ad valorem is usually the riskier one because it depends on the amount being signed in the contract. So what has happened and which Tayo has also mentioned is that there are certain rates in the JTB rates, which FRS typically applies on such agreements, though that is a variance with what is in the Stamp Duties Act. But typically for companies that they have succeeded in using such rates on, the amounts usually become very significant. So in signing those agreements, we need to, if possible, get advice from somebody that understands those issues and those loopholes in the Stamp Duties Act so that you don't fall prey to what the tax authorities are currently doing. And then with respect to the question that someone asked on minimum tax, the 25 million, why 25 million? Why the companies that have turnover of 25 million are exempted? The thing is, in certain jurisdictions, there are different incentives that the government gives to certain categories of companies. Just like this COVID era, there are palliatives that government is supposed to, give to certain classes of companies, and it is dependent on the amount of tax you pay. So if you have a company that, for instance, is below 25 million and has not been paying any tax, you wouldn't expect that the type of incentive they would get would be the same for a company that perhaps makes over 1 billion turnover and then is paying significant tax to the government. So we are not privy to why 25 million, but we know that from time immemorial, the tax authorities typically have different gradings for different sizes of companies. And on the question of excess dividend tax, I think Tayo has answered that already. I think Tayo has answered that. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, just to answer your question around why 25 million, there's been advocacy and a strong move by small and medium enterprises for many, many, many years about that tax exemption, and it just came through. So this is part of what happens with advocacy, particularly if it's strong enough to be able to convince the authorities to begin to do something about. So you hear all the time about SMEs complaining about multiplicity of taxes because they're taxed at various levels. So it's part of, that's what brought about that incentive. So it's actually something that we're applauding in the organized private sector. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Gungweru, for the answers. We have one more question from a virtual participant. His name is Mr. Rotimi Fashola, and he's asking, what is the effect of this act on outstanding tax obligations, including deferred taxes and capital gains tax? This is his question. What is the effect of this act on outstanding tax obligations, including deferred taxes and capital gains tax? You have one more question, please, and then we'll round up the question and answer.
Thank you, Madam. Mine is actually an observation from the statement that you made, that for people with less than 25 million, there's a tax exemption. And I would like to know if a tax exemption certificate is given, because you said something that there wouldn't be need to even declare. But I know that if you don't declare, that means you have no record with the tax office, and then your exemption is just presumed, and anybody can just say, yes, I'm not made up to 25 million. So I'd like you to please expatiate on that. And then the issue of
obligation to your client. Two, how legal is that? Yes, you have said it's at the point of negotiation, but is it really legal for you to ask your client to pay what the government is requesting you to? Thank you.
So Google, the floor is yours.
Okay. The effects of the Finance Act on outstanding tax, it will be dependent on the nature of the tax. First of all, the act is not meant to be retrospective. However, there are penalties that are imposed on outstanding taxes. So depending on the nature of the tax that is outstanding, depending on how it occurred, will determine how the act will affect it. But if any new transaction is being conducted from now that is generating a new outstanding tax, then it is the Finance Act that we apply. We don't expect that if I'm owing a tax, okay, let me also put it this way. If you are owing a tax, let us assume you are owing CIT for 2017. The penalty rate there in the current tax has not been amended. However, if you have not filed a tax returns for previous year, the penalty that is in the Finance Act now is what will be used to compute the penalty. So it depends on the nature of the transaction, depends on the nature of the tax, depends on the offense itself to determine what is going to happen. Now, about the issue of tax exemption certificates, anybody that is not known is not going to be entitled to any certificate. It's not known to the law. However, it is not impossible that some businesses may require a certificate, which is the usual tax clearance certificate. Normally, what we do is that such business, we just ask them to go and file the tax returns and demonstrate to the tax to say, I am below 25 million. Normally, issue the tax clearance certificate and put not liable, not liable. That's what they will just issue. Then the legality of passing the Stamp Duty Act. Let us note one thing. When it comes to tax, if I am required, take for instance, let's use the issue of the withholding tax to illustrate. Under the law says before you have to deduct the withholding tax from a rent that is payable. But the agreement normally says is net of all taxes. Now, if the agreement is not saying to include that you can no longer do net, and the landlord is increasing the rate, he has not breached any law. He just said, when you used to pay the tax, it was 100. Now, I am the one that is going to pay, it is 110. So, it will be resolved in commercial arrangement. It will be resolved in commercial arrangement. And once the contract is signed, it is now what is done contrary to what is in the contract that now become illegality. So if you sign a contract that permits you to be not to deduct, then that is illegal in itself. But once the contract has also been signed to say that this is now the new price, then if anything don't contain that, will become illegal. So we think that, say for instance, that also come to Nigeria to do net of all taxes. But now they have to incorporate it. What you have realized that most of them are approaching us to say, what are the taxes payable? I need to revise my contract. So I don't want to become doing something illegal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, another round of applause for our guest speaker. At this point in time, I will take a short break while our talented master of ceremony takes the next segment.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you very much, ma'am. Please, a very brilliant applause for Tayo. And an equally brilliant applause for our able chairman today. Yes, we just want to take this little break in case our paper presenter would like to take his exit. we would like to appreciate Tayo. It's representing. Yes. So, photographer, first could you be close? Okay.
On behalf of the President, Council, we're giving this to you, representing the appreciation of your support and the elder presentation of your paper this morning. And we quite appreciate all the information that you have given to us. And I'm sure that if we have reasons to get in touch with you in the future, we will very much ready to avail us. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are cruising quite nicely. Right away, we'd like to take the message from Universal Insurance PLC. They've got a very short message, a vocal message, because the online message has gone all over the world, even as we speak at the moment. So please, let's just take that right away. The MD, CEO of Universal. A round of applause for him.
Thank you very much. Papa. The President and the Chairman of the Council of NCRIB, Dr. Iburi, the Deputy President, Organizing Committee, Council members, CEOs of various brokerage firms. I am highly delighted to be here, and Universal Insurance PSC is quite having this relationship with NCRIB, also having the privilege of sponsoring this occasion. It is quite enriching, considering they have listened to. So I have known that a lot is going to come from this event. Our message is quite short. Universal Insurance PSC, who are we? Universal Insurance is one of the oldest insurance companies in this market today, having started operation since with our shareholder in excess of 8 billion. Our business is a very robust reinsurance treaty arrangement. And in our security list, we have African Reinsurance, Continental Re, Waika Re, Nigerian Re, NCA Re, Zip Re. We also have a multi-line treaty on oil and gas.
that gives us a capacity of about $357 million with a retention of $1.4 million, considering the level of our shareholders' fund. Despite that, we have a second layer arrangement with Waikare that gives us a total retention capacity of $6.5 million. On the level of aviation, we also have another level of treaty arrangement that gives us a capacity of $2.4 million. All these are put together to ensure that we are ready with the support of the brokers to do business. What is very much trending today, particularly in the underwriting sector of our industry, is the recapitalization of the insurance companies. Quite recently, the National Insurance Commission, with regards to the effect of COVID-19 to the initial plan, issued another guideline on the June 3rd this year that segmented the recapitalization, requiring all insurance companies to meet 50% of the new capital by 31st December 2020, and the second segment by 30th September 2021. By our 2019 approved account by National Insurance Commission, and also going by a guide by NICOM on what constitutes the capital for insurance companies, that is the paid up share capital, share premium, and retained earning. Universal Insurance PLC, if you put these factors into consideration, by our 2019 account, have a capital of over 7 billion naira. That presupposes that Universal Insurance has met the first segment of the recapitalization that is expected to close by 31st December 2020. We are also working seriously to ensure that before September 30th, the remaining part of the capital will be actualized. At the moment, we have appointed financial advisors who are working with a view of ensuring possibility of business combination with some other of our peers in the industry to ensure that we meet the capitalization, and also the possibility of sourcing other interested investors who are willing to invest in the company. And what I want to assure the brokers in this market is that come September 30th, 2021, the brand Universal Insurance PLC will stand. I therefore enjoin you to work with us because we are poised to do business with you. We are here, particularly today, to let you know, one, what our position is as regards the recapitalization. And that position we wouldn't have attained if not for the support of your members, the members of NCRI. For that, we quite appreciate this one. And as Oliver Twist will ask for more. because the brokers control 70-75% of the business in this market. So no underwriter would dare to say he would not romance with the brokers. So we are begging for more, and I'm quite sure we'll receive the hand of fellowship from some of us who have not started having relationship with us. I quite believe that after this meeting, a lot will begin to happen. Part of the things we also want to see from this gathering is to, for those who are dealing with us, to know sincerely how we are faring. Because if we get feedbacks from you, it will help us to model our operations better so that we can serve our mutual clients better in the interest of all of us. So given the situation we have presented, we believe we can do more with your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please, can we give him another round of applause? Mr. Ben Ujuatwonu, I would like on behalf, even though they didn't send me a message, I would like on behalf of NCRIB to really thank you for this sponsorship. So it is because of you that we're all here today. Thank you very much. For me personally, when I look at the business environment, so as president of Lagos Chamber, I need to look at the entire environment and every sector, the insurance sector and others are all part of this same business environment. It's not very often that I meet a company that has been around all my life. Think about it. We need more companies that have been around all our lives. Lagos Chamber started in the time of maybe my great-great-grandfather. That's great. We have a few, like Lagos Chamber, First Bank. We need more of those. And my prayer for Universal Insurance PLC is that you will make your century mark and live beyond. So thank you so much for that. It is my pleasure now to introduce someone whom I was so pleased to see his name on the program when I saw it. Is someone who's very dear to me. I've known him for quite a long time. And I call him the quintessential public relations person. Mr. Segun McMedal, a chief reputation strategist at Opticom Marketing Company, is a passionate storyteller. He is a BSc Sociology graduate with a second-class honor from the University of Ilorin, 1998. In 2004, Mr. McMedal bagged his postgraduate degree from Time Journalism Institute. He also holds a diploma in public relations from the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, 2007. In his quest for more knowledge, Mr. McMedal proceeded to the University of Lagos for his master's in public relations and international affairs. As a relationship builder with social media management skills, he's a creative thinker with active problem-solving skills. He writes well with sufficient proficiency in publishing and media relations. He knows how to leverage these skills to make valuable contributions to achieve companies' communications and marketing goals. He's a communicator. He's the chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Lagos, a non-governmental, not-for-profit professional association of public relations practitioners, chartered by Decree 16 of June 1990, now and after Parliament, to regulate and develop the public relations, public affairs, and communications practice in Nigeria. Segun McMedal has so many other talents besides this. I think that it's quite a treat that we have him speaking to us today about work ethics, voice, and etiquette for optimum performance. Even Mr. Thomas took time out of his address to us this morning to stress the importance of ethics and etiquette in the insurance industry. Shegun McMedal, thank you. Please welcome him to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. Madam Chairman of this CEO Empowerment Series. I was very, very excited when I saw your name. So I'm going to see you this year. Last time we saw was it was last year. Yes, at Faith Foundation. Yes, I will always remember the chairman of this occasion. When I started publishing, I went to Faith Foundation, and she happened to be one of our facilitators. And since then, we've bonded. We've been in touch ever since. She's one of my mentors and role model in business. A round of applause for, yes. And congratulations again on your ascension of office. I want to thank the Institute, the Council, for inviting me. My friend and brother here, he made it happen. I'm very grateful. He's my chairman, for the immediate past chairman of the Ogun State chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. And he did very well, very remarkably well in that. And the funny thing is, I learned that you are having a webinar this afternoon too. Well done, sir. God bless you. And everyone, the sponsors, everyone, please, thank you very much. What I'm going to do today it's nothing new to you. It was Galileo that said that you can't teach a man anything. You can only bring to his attention what he already knows. So I'm not going to attempt to come up with theories and all of that. I'll just tell you from experience and see how we can all carry along. I like to start my presentation with a point of view, especially riding on the Galileo's comment that no one can teach anyone what he doesn't already know. So the purpose of this class is, first of all, to review what you already know. To review, you know it. Somehow you may have forgotten about it. To reflect. Okay, so far, how has it worked for you or otherwise? And of course, to renew, to refresh, and see how you can benefit from this thing that you have forgotten. After all, the illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. I want to share a story in setting the stage of Apple. Apple started in 1976, April 1st to be exact. Steve Jobs and Wozniak started Apple from Steve Jobs' garage, dad's garage. And today, Apple is one of the the valuation of Apple is over 2 trillion as we speak. It's the first American company to get to that level. How did they get there? It started with a vision. I'm not as old as I look. Yes, I'm not as old as I look. This is genetic competition. Yes. So now, because I didn't see it, I saw pictures. Though. They said there was a time when computer used to be so massive that it will require a couple of men to lift it. So Apple started by having a vision to make it smaller and to make a lot more people, to make it more available to a lot more people. That was the vision that battered the Apple. And of course, they have had good leadership from inception. And of course, all these attributes you see there on the screen, leadership, they have the people, innovation, governance structure, commitment, continuous commitment to excellence, transparency, and etiquette. These are some of the qualities, some of the things that has made Apple to be what it is today. Because I have to cite this story because this is a CEO empowerment series. The sponsor, Universal Insurance, since 1962. I'm very happy that the MD said, though we are doing well, but we are not where we should be. And I bet that everyone seated here, you have potential to be greater than where you are presently. So I pray that at the end of this exercise, what we are going to share will be beneficial to every one of us. Now, I'll quickly touch on skill versus social grace. Everyone here, or almost everyone, has technical capability to do whatever your profession is. So you have attended university, you have taken professional classes, you have done all of that. And for business people too, you have sharpened your skill set to be good, to be a good business person. But that is what it is, skill. Technical skill that can make you give more. But does it stop there? No, it doesn't. We were created to relate with another. What you want is in the hands of somebody else. So the concept of social grace now comes in. Social grace talks manners and etiquette. You want to be likable because when people like you, they likely will not do business with you. So social grace is very, very important for you to grow your business and even to grow yourself. So you are looking at politeness. When you get to the office and you don't greet, for instance, why do you greet? Can somebody please answer that question. Why do you say good morning or hello or something? Why? Social recognition. Social grace. Yes, sir. Correct. Okay. All of this, everyone is right. But you are more, you are closest to it. You recognize that there is someone there. Every man, whether small or big, of any status, we crave to be recognized. Check it. The most popular person in your establishment is the one that greets most, that socialized the most. So, okay, let me start an example. Assuming you need to contribute money for whatever cause, maybe this guy is sick, but somebody else, not like this guy who doesn't greet. Who are you likely going to assist? The one that greets, the one that knows that you are there. So that's the social grace, which teaches us that there are some acceptable forms of behavior in a society, in an organization. Politeness is one of them. Work ethics is one of them. Poise is one of them. Confidence, work etiquette. These are some of the social graces that we need to cultivate. So work ethics is this light. Thank you. So, work ethics. These are sets of values and principles that regulate acceptable behavior, like I said, in a society, in an organization, or a group. For instance, let's even take the commonest now is on WhatsApp. If you are on a serious WhatsApp group, you have rules. The rules there guides how you should behave. So such is the manner, the social grace that you have all agreed to, to guide you, whatever you are going to post. And when anyone deviates, what do? Is it that you call the attention of the admin, or you just share your mind that this person has gone foul of what this is all about? So it is a value learned from environment, experiences, and influences. Some of the things that you do, consciously or unconsciously, are learned behaviors. You didn't just jump from anywhere. So that you have seen your teacher, your parents, somewhere, your environment. So that's why people who live in certain areas tend to talk in certain ways. For instance, an Englishman you would know an Englishman versus an American, So this, and there are different things that guides them. Work ethics is important in defining your identity. Now, some of the key elements includes professionalism, discipline, responsibility, relationship, teamwork, honesty, integrity, humility, conformity, empathy, communication, dependability, accountability. Now, I'm going to jump in, some of this because it's a
to talk on work ethics alone is a lot. Poised to and everything here. So this is like a kind of a summary, but you can flesh it out much later by yourself because you already know it. Like I said, this is like just like a refresher, for everyone. So now demonstrating work ethics, a strong work ethics, you will have to put the company first. So once you get to the door, to the gate, forget all your troubles and do your work. Conform to policies. Conformity to policies. Have excellence orientation. The example of Apple that we cited, these are some of the things that led them to where they are today. Have an excellence mentality. There is always a way that you can do it better. That's continuous improvement. Take ownership. Some of the staff, they care less. It's company's property. Like the police, for instance. Sorry, I don't, no pun intended here, please. Like the police. Today, a corporate organization can donate 100 cars to the police. And next year, when you see these vehicles, you will cry. It's because some of these guys are not, the car, they don't see it as theirs. See, you will remember how you value the things that you as yours. So the mentality and the way you treat things that is yours and something that is not yours, they are not the same. You need to manage your time wisely. There are some staff that once they get to work, a little bit of time, they are on the internet. They are browsing. And you'll be wondering, the request I ask you to do, what is the update? It's the same story. Excuses, procrastination. These are some of the things because you are not using your time wisely. But the truth is, there are several things that can take our time. But the things that we think is valuable to us, we give time. The things that are very valuable to you, you put attention into it. So when you see your staff not coming up as at when due, please check their consumption of the internet. Be honest, be objective, consistently high performance. Leaders love people who perform high performance. They love them. Show respect, empathy, and fairness. Enjoy working with others. Of course, they have balanced balanced lifestyle. They know when to rest. They know how to take care of their health. They know how to, do everything that will give them that balanced lifestyle. So you can hardly see them complain of stress, because of course we have bad stress and good stress. Benefit of a strong work ethics: it improves morale. It consistently leads to higher productivity and efficiency. It fosters teamwork and cooperation. It is a sign of respect for companies' policies. It defines identity and strengthens character. Shows leadership traits. And of course, because you are a high performer, the leaders knows you. They know who are performing, they know who are not. And of course, it boosts employee retention because you have a good environment. People would clearly like to work in good environment, which is why most people would like to work with multinationals, because we have the perception that it's a good place to work. They have, flexible working, hours and all of that. And of course, with all the reputation that they have built over the year. Somebody was telling us about one of those multinationals over the weekend, that during this period, during the lockdown, they were constantly checking up on them. And when they resumed after this lockdown, even the MD, once he cites you, is asking after your health, after your family. He will always ask you. If he sees you tomorrow, he will ask you the same. So they are genuinely interested. So if your MD is doing all that for you, I'm sure that you will feel kind of special. Now, for institutionalizing good work ethics, what is the responsibility of the C-suite? Of course, management. You need to set clear goals and objectives. Define the KPIs. You need to role model what followership to do. They are watching you. Whatever you do, they are taking after you. Create that right environment where people would like to work. Ensure professionalism. Maybe they need to take more courses, professional courses, and all of that. Make sure that you are able to guide them. Discipline. Discipline is one sure thing that is required even in all of us. Because you need to discipline your time. You need to discipline the work you do. How do you set priorities? Some things will come as if, you must do them now. Whereas some other things, they may not be shouting at you, but you should do also. So you need to discipline your time to know which you should do first and all. Understand your employees' needs. Mentor them. Maybe there should be a session. Some of these consulting outfits used to do this. The MD will create a kind of a session for the younger ones where he can, interact with them and share experiences and values. Seek constant feedback. The gap between the management and the lower rung is usually very, very, very wide. Because it so happened that you are so, the younger ones feel cut off in the loop. So you need to create, especially in large organizations, so you need to create that avenue where you can get feedback on some of the things that are working and are not working. And of course, motivate these people, pay them well, and of course, see that they are healthy and all of that. This is where it gets a lot more interesting. Please look on the screen. Can you recognize these people? Because the average people in this hall, the average age here is 40. Yeah. The average age in this hall is 40. So I reckon that you should know who these people are and what they represented. So, what? Exactly. Exactly. So thank you very much. So, we remember, somebody said Miriam Babangida was one first lady with a difference. There has never been any like her. The poise, the glamour. Is it okay? Your own is tigress part. What do you know of Diana? Excellent. But when these people, they commanded media attention because of the things that interested them, because of the things that they do and the way they appear in public. Poise, confidence, elegance. Let me ask a question. The day you know that today I'm well dressed, are you happier, or versus the day you are just too casual? Has there been a time in your life? Has there been a time in your life when you avoided a friend because of the way you are looking? So, as MDs, as CEOs, we need to be to always. So, poise, by definition, simple definition, is having a graceful and elegant bearing. It includes outward things like posture, stylish dressing, poise, magnetism, good behavior, politeness, confidence. But much more than this, poise is an inner grace. It's not because you are rich. You know, poise can take you far. I have 10 minutes, so I'm going to rush. The good part is poise is free. Doesn't care who you are, your school, where you attended, your parents. It doesn't. Anyone can cultivate that good poise. Yet, many people, many CEO lacks it. So characteristics of poise: confidence, composure, compassion, presentation, and presence. You know, when you are there, they will know that you are there. By the things you do, by your contributions you make, you know that you are there. Yoruba will say, I mean, sorry, I don't. Yeah, thank you very much. You know, and that's another thing. I'm not afraid. That's another thing that they said. Exactly. Thank you very much. Interpretation. Now, poise reflects self-control, the ability to regulate your behavior. So, assuming that something upsets you, you must stop, think before you act. Stop, think before you act. So that poise will give you that self-control. It also reflects self-possession, ability to face challenges. You know that challenge is part of life. So poise will let you know that, okay, it's a part of life. Face your challenge head on, no fear. Of course, it's also it reflects self-assurance, having faith in your capability. Don't compare yourself with anybody. You are unique, you are special, and you should carry yourself as such. That person you are envying has like something in you that maybe he or she is not saying. So please be proud of who you are and what you have. Poise permits you to appear regulated. It permits you to be at ease, and sometimes they would think that you are not bothered, but you are thinking, the solution, but you are not showing it. It's poise. And of course, you are going to come up with a solution. It permits you to be likable. Everyone wants to be liked. Everyone wants to be popular. Most people that tells you, I don't, we all want to be popular for different reasons. So having a good voice will make you like etiquette. The conduct required by for good breeding in an organization or for social life or social or official life. An organization where people are treated well tends to be more successful than others. So for emphasis on the etiquette for business is what I listed here: email etiquette, dining etiquette, telephone etiquette, office etiquette, meeting etiquette, and the likes. Let me quickly touch on the email etiquette. The most important bit of your email is the subject. Very, very important. But usually is one place that is most taken for granted. And another thing is, most of the time, emails come in capitals, capital letters. Capitalizing sentence capital is very good, but coming in all capitals in communication is an equivalent for shouting. When you get an email, or on your social media, WhatsApp, some people have a habit of composing messages in caps, all caps. They look so ugly, especially if it's a long one. So your subject is the most important. It can lead me into what the message is about. Brevity. In advertising, we believe that less is more. Less is more. Just put your point across in a succinct so that the person will know that, so not, you are not writing WAEC again. Now, attachment. Some of the time you get attachments that are not labeled.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's very important that you label your attachment appropriately, especially so that it will even help me in filing. And of course, make sure that you don't attach too much. You don't have too much attachment in your email.
Okay.
Check spelling and grammar. Of course, make it personal. Say, for instance, dear Toki. You like it better than dear Madam. True or false? Dear Esther. Of course, if this person is most senior, something that is highly respected, that doesn't, apply, but a colleague is good to, hello. In corporate offices, it's easy that you just see somebody, you just forward an email, no address, nothing. So just forward it like that. Remember the golden rule: do unto others as you want them to do unto you.
Wow.
Okay, I will touch on the smartphone much later. So proofread before you send. Use active voice. Respond. Most of the time we get mails and we say, okay, I will respond later, and somehow we don't get to do it. Like I mentioned before, avoid writing in capitals is equivalent to shouting. Avoid acronyms and abbreviation. Yeah, and the managing emails on smartphone, because smartphone has become a part of our life. Some of the time you respond to emails on your smartphone, but the majority of people that do that have not have not added their signature. So you will get sent from iPhone 2, sent from Galaxy 1. Please go to setting and personalize it. Put in your signature so that when I get it, you will know whether I'm responding from my desktop or from my phone. Makes you a lot more professional. This is a dining etiquette. Dress appropriately, keep to time, observe sitting arrangement. Sometimes, in the Bible, Jesus said, when you get to an event, don't go and sit on the high table so that they will not ask you to go and sit at the low table. So ask the host where you should be seated. Say, order what you are familiar with. Moderation is key. I'm sure that you have noticed at some event, you see people piling up food. You'll be like, eat at moderate speed. Don't rush. It's not your mouth full and all of that. Don't eat with your mouth full. Maintain polite dinner conversation. Never medicate yourself at the table. Telephone etiquette. Smile. Smile is so powerful that when a call comes in and you pick, if you smile, the way you respond, is the other guy will feel, that's that telepathy. You feel that this person is happy. That's why some people, they will ask you, are you all right? Have you noticed? When you pick a call, because you have been calling this person, so you can tell. Okay. Because maybe where he was frowning or he was upset or something. But even as he was upset, if answering that call is just a smile, it will change his reaction because it will lessen all the tension in his body. So be courteous and brief. So introduce yourself if you are the one who's making the call. So be patient, listen, and don't interrupt.
Okay.
Speak into the mouthpiece. People shout. So if you can't hear this person well, chances are they will be shouting. The person because you can't hear this person well, you are shouting. So put your mouth on the mouth, especially if you are using the landline. So never take calls, pick calls with your mouth full. And of course, on the mobile phone, don't put someone on hold without his permission. It's rude. And of course, bye-bye. Okay, bye is a sign that you are closing the meeting. But we hardly say bye nowadays. Have you noticed? The sign in telephone conversation, the bye means it's a close. But we just assume that it's over. And all of us just cut. So let the caller hang up first before you do that. So smartphone etiquette. I think I mentioned something. To introduce yourself, you are making a call. State the purpose of your call. Ask if it's good time to talk. It's rude to allow others to pick your call. It's a smartphone. I'm calling the chairman, for instance, and I expect to hear, "Hi, Shegun," and somebody, "Hello." I will check myself. Because a mobile phone is supposed to be personal. So when somebody else is picking my call, the other person will feel and have to readjust. Sometimes they will say, okay, I'll call her later. So it's not very nice for somebody else to pick your call, especially when the other party doesn't know you. So avoid Avoid eating while on the phone. Even going to the toilet to flush, the other person will sometimes say, "Ah, are you in the toilet?" Yeah. Are you in the toilet? Yeah. Because the water is splashing or something. To ask, are you in the toilet? Or but if you are not close to the person, you will not say anything. Office etiquette is all of this and all of that. Meeting etiquette is also here. Please, I think we have the slide. The business card etiquette. Always have a business card. Have it in good shape. Have it really available. Be selective about sharing it. It's not everybody see you share their card with. Present it in a fitting manner anywhere with. This is Mr. Fashola and Mr. Edu. I used to be a field officer at IGI. Yes, sir. But I felt it wasn't an industry for me. I like some level of glamour. I like the media life. So I opted to be a PR practitioner. Thank you very much, sir. So now, for dress etiquette, there is something that is very common in the insurance. You guys are too conservative. You are boring. Insurance people are boring. They are boring people. You are rich. You are cool. I guess it comes with the territory. But people give more. If you guys can show a little bit of flamboyance, I'm sure that the market will change. You will respond. You will get more markets. I tell you, you can just give it a try. It worked very well for IGI. I don't know why they stopped. Sir. Well, it's not where it used to be. Okay, let's say that. Yes, it's not where it used to be. You guys can do better. Why is it that we do respect, sir? Why is it that people will gladly, do business with a the guy looks, he looks it. Usually, let me not go there. Sir, it's changing. It's changing. All right. Yeah, I'm done. So the summary of getting the best or optimum output in any office lies on leadership. Leadership must walk the talk. If you want your staff, your colleagues to do well, are you doing well? If you want them to resume office at 8, that is the resumption time. Though you are the MD, you may not be coming into the office at 8 every day. What time do you resume? What time do you leave? For you not to come to the office at 8, is it official? Are you on an official meeting or an assignment? Or you just, because you are the boss, because you are answerable to you and your board, you must walk the talk. You must show the examples of the things that you want to see in your people. If we can do this, everybody under you, they will rise, because they know that the boss will do it. The boys, the boss, no. He will be there. He will be there. You are the example. You are the one. You are the role model. So be the example of what you want to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shegun McMedal. Please, another round of applause for him. Thank you. Thank you very much. So to go to a very quick summary of what Shegun spoke to us about, this is about soft skills. His paper centered on work ethics, poise, and etiquette. And what he said to us was, we already know a lot of these things as leaders and CEOs of our various organizations. We're aware of it. But how many of us practice what we preach? Leaders actually must be the role models for their organizations. And so he spoke to technical skill versus social grace. I tend to think of social grace as the icing on the cake when it comes to technical skills. People who are too technical tend not to be very gracious in the way that they behave. So we need to learn to have those gracious skills. We need to instill good work ethics in our employees. And what does this do for us? It instills excellence, high performance, and teamwork within your organization. And overall, what does that do for your organization? It improves efficiency. And of course, he spoke in terms of leaders noticing you. So if you were an employee, leaders will notice you. But for you as CEOs of your various organizations, your partners notice you. Your business network notice you. And this is why it's important for you to lead the way you mean to go. He spoke about the responsibilities for C-suite leaders like yourselves. And he says, please set clear goals and objectives. Also create a conducive environment. As a business development consultant, when I walk into some offices, it immediately tells me the character of the man, of the woman who runs it. Your office tends to speak for you and look the way that you are on the inside. So a conducive environment is very important. And this actually will instill overall professionalism and discipline within the employees, the people who work for you. He talked about poise, and poise giving you self-confidence, self-assurance, and also help you face challenges. That was a new one for me. I never thought of poise as what would help you face challenges. I always thought it was the dressing on the courage to face challenges. So that was a new one for me. There's several kinds of etiquette. He listed it all here, took him time. But the funniest part was when he came to dress etiquette and all the wonderful men here disagreed that the insurance industry has come a long way from where it used to be. Yes, so, but I tend to think that, for professionals generally, maybe because I am, my background, I grew out of law, I'm a lawyer by profession. A lot of professions are limited in their mode of dressing. But that limitation in mode of dressing doesn't stop you from dressing extremely well. So people can be extremely well dressed without a lot of color. And I think that the thing is to put your best foot forward. It's the idea of it is put your best self forward. Every time you need to network, meet your partners, and so on. Thank you. So that, in essence, is what Shegun was talking to all of us about, and all of us need to imbibe these things. Sometimes I find in the business environment, we are so busy being CEOs and leaders that we think it's somebody else's job to do those things. After all, you've hired someone to deal with brand, and you've hired somebody else to deal with customer service. What business is that of yours? But truly, you are the chief marketing officer of your company. Anytime T. Everyone is looking to you. The public on the inside, that's your staff, and the public on the outside. And they will judge you by the way you present yourself. Thank you so, so much. So we will take a few questions. I wonder whether there are any questions here in the hall. Those who are virtual, please quickly put your questions on chat and we'll take those as well. Yes, sir, you first and then Madam. Please remember to introduce yourself, sir. And face that camera on the right.
really observed. Jide Dagogo is my name from NBC Insurance Brokers. Concerning the either mobile phone etiquette or especially mobile phone etiquette, there has been a challenge really now, especially in families, whereby if the husband says, my wife cannot pick my calls, it becomes problem. Well, it means that you have something you are hiding or you are hiding. How do you solve this type of problem in relation to, because your phone, you can even be at home and your customer, anybody can call you. But once you are telling your wife that you cannot pick my call, it becomes, how do you resolve this type of problem in relation to telephone etiquette?
Thank you very much, sir. There was a lady's hand up just now. Please come, madam. Thank you very much. Please introduce yourself again, madam.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Jocelyn Obokiri, Target Insurance Brokers. I really appreciate the presentation. Thank you so very much. I'd like to just ask, it may look elementary, like I said earlier, my question. As it concerns email, when you are doing an official email, or you're a broker, and the writer is writing you, or within the establishment, your staff is writing you, or you are writing members of your staff. In the address, will it be proper? Will it be proper? Okay, for someone, for me, for instance, now I take myself as a junior staff, for instance, to address my MD and say, dear Jocelyn, and then
Of course.
probably I also address, the person addresses the chairman, maybe dear Kelvin, something like that. And then when you are signing out, is it proper to indicate titles? You know, I'm looking at what is right, not really what is subjective now, but what is professionally right to be done. Is it good to sign out Mrs. Obokiri or to just sign out to Jocelyn or in an official communication, that you said? And then number two, when it comes to business card, complimentary cards, I'd like to also get what is the professional position should be. Is it right professionally as a business person to have on your card stated your titles? Dr. Mrs. Jocelyn Obokiri, I will get there. And now to also have there, I have my PhD, I have my this, I have my that. Is it professionally proper?
All right,
Apart
thank
from the
you.
subjections there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from this side, gentlemen? No? Okay. Shagun, please, could you take those two questions before we move to our virtual participants?
All right. The first one, whether is it right for you or thinking about your wife, is it so that you will not think that you are hiding? See, if you got my message, I said, if you have an incoming call, that it is improper, it is rude for somebody else to pick the call. All right. So that is not like the one that your wife cannot suspect you over a call coming in my opinion, especially if it is a legit call. Now, I, for instance, my phone is not passworded. In my house, none of us passworded our phones. And I can take call anytime. It doesn't mean that my wife trusts me or she distrusts me. But my wife will never pick my, even if Toki calls me today, my wife, she knows that she will not pick my call. You know? So we need to talk to whether our children or our wife, that if a call is coming in, it could be business. You understand? So it's another thing for her to now want to peruse your phone after the call. Anytime the call is coming, they shouldn't attempt to pick it. The issue of whether is it proper for you to address your MD by name? Okay, so now, normally, your email should have a signature. So you don't need to write your name or whether a first name or whatever. Any name that you want to be called should be permanently in your mail. That's why I said for mobile, most of the emails you are sending through your mobile. If you go to your setting, you will see signature. Just write as you want your brand to look. Whether your anything that you want is there that you can just input. So you don't need to write your name after every email. And of course, the office practice, the structure of your office also counts, whether you can call your MD by name or not. In multinationals, they call their MD, a cleaner will call the MD by his first name. It's a corporate culture. So you need to adopt a culture for your organization, whether it's on the first name basis or on the last name basis. There's even something that's even very common nowadays, and among Nigerians. Like my name is Shegun Mabeda. They will call me Mr. Shegun. When you are using Mr. Shegun, there's no need for Mr. When you are using a Mr., it's Mr. Makmeda. But it's very common to hear people say Mr. Shegun, Mr. Femi, whereas that's your first name. So the last question is it right to add prefix to your name? Anything is allowed in your card, but I would recommend to write whether you are a Mrs. or something. But if you have some special qualifications, like a PhD, with some specialization, you can put it. But if you are so also inclined to write whether you are a Mrs., especially depending on your industry. For instance, if you are if you are a missionary, for instance, if you are in the Christianity kind of business, it's okay for you to put a pastor Mrs. is permissible. But when you are in a normal business environment, there is no need to have a Mrs. In your name. Anybody that wants to know your status will ask you. But if you have special qualifications, you can add.
All right, thank you very much, Shegun. MC, do we have any questions from the virtual platform? None?
None.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, our time is fast spent, so let me thank our speaker once again. Please give him another round of applause. Thank you very much, Shegun. While I hand over to our talented master of ceremony, please.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma, very much. I really appreciate you. Please, can you appreciate our chairman on my behalf? Because hardly would you have the chairman appreciating the master of ceremonies. I'm sure that I'm fat-headed now. Thank you very much, ma. And Shegun, thank you very much too. We appreciate you. I was just telling a colleague that your paper is so germane to us because a lot of time we're thinking about growing the industry. We're thinking about the product. We're thinking about excellence when it comes to product itself. But the deliverer of the product. And of course, like we do say, however beautiful jollof rice is, if it is in the hand of a leper, you are not likely to like to take it. So please, I think that's a food for thought for us. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Please, can I have the...
Are you going to share the paper?
Yes, the paper.
Are you going to send to our email?
Admin, the paper will go around to everybody, please. We give you that assurance. Vice President would like you to appreciate Mr. Olusegun McMedal for a very beautiful paper. Yes, ma'am, please.
And my Deputy President, the Events Organizing Committee and the Council in entirety. A very incisive delivery. You have brought us back to the learning mode. Sure. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure we have a few takeaways.
Can we have the volume, please? The volume.
We feel enriched and we feel inspired. And when you said we are too dull, my brothers there have told you we are not dull. I'm sure you saw the ladies there. Mrs. Ezibe, Mrs. Ogokiri, Mrs. Adenusi. We have the beautiful park here. And the gentlemen are not looking ugly. Look at my deputy president. Thank you very much for inspiring us. And we hope to see you next time.
Thank you very much. We would like to, please, can we maintain the status quo ante? We'd like to appreciate our very, very dynamic chairman. She has really exhibited just a little jot of the stuff that she's made of, Mrs. Toki Maboguje. And that's going to be done by the Deputy President. Microphone, sir. Pick the mic. Pick the mic, sir.
Hello. Well, I'm sure that this lady that we are about to, make this presentation to is not a woman of little means or substance. Yes, if you have juggernauts in men, I think she represents the juggernauts in ladies. She's an Amazon of her own industry too. I've known her for years, and she's so passionate about insurance. That's one thing about her. She's a lawyer and also a very passionate insurance lover. Madam, Mrs. Mabokuje, it's my pleasure on behalf of the President, the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, to present this plaque in appreciation of your support to the insurance community, let me say. Because I remember the day we came to your office, you spoke eloquently about the need for insurance to shapen up, the need for insurance rights. And when I was with you this morning, it was the same message you were passing. And I'm sure that the Lagos Chambers of Commerce and Industry is also putting on a lot of plans to ensure that insurance, and this is evident in the insurance. Thank you very much for your time today. Pray that God will strengthen you to continue this good work. Thank you.
Thank you. We hold it. Please, let's hold it. On behalf of the council, we would like the president of the LCCI to kindly appreciate our sponsor. Yes. Can I request an executive secretary, sir? Please, could you join now? Mr. Fatah Adegbenro.
I was just commenting that this absolutely beautiful certificate and plaque here is almost as tall as myself. So, Universal Insurance PLC, You are walking your talk. You're walking your talk. And on behalf of the council, I would love to present to you this plaque in appreciation of your support for the growth of insurance broking profession, particularly for sponsoring the CEO's Empowerment Series 2020 held on this day. Thank you so, so much, and God bless.
Yes, can you display it? Let's take a pose now. Yes. Very good. Thank you very much. God bless you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we like to please our distinguished guests, you may be seated for very few minutes. We like to give an expression of thanks. I'm sure that the president is very happy right in Abuja that this has turned out very well under our tenure as president. But to give an expression of thanks on behalf of our council is the chairman of that great committee. Please, can we go down a little bit with our voices? On behalf of the event organizing committee, that's the committee that has ensured that the I's are properly dotted and the T's are crossed. And of course, the evidence of the fantastic and superlative job that they've done is very apparent here. The chairman of that committee is Mr. Babatunde Oguntade, is to give an expression of thanks. Mike? Mike? Okay. When I go back, you put me.
Thank you, Tope. On behalf of the president, our management team, past presidents, board members, the council in entirety, and particularly the events organizing committee, I wish to express our appreciation to the CFI Nigeria, my brother and friend, who's taking his time to join us. Mr. Olorundare Sunday Thomas, thank you, sir. I want to assure you, sir, that your developmental approach to the market is being keyed into by the council, and we promise you together we shall work hand in hand to the satisfaction of the federal government. We'll continue to give you the needed support, sustainable support that you desire. I want to appreciate our fellow, our KBSC, our royal icon, His Royal Majesty Oba Julius Oluwole Adetimehin FCIB, FIN, for taking time out of palatial duties to be with us. We appreciate your rich blessings. I hope that when we come close to your domain next year, you the chairman of the event of today. I appreciate people who walk the talk, and I'm beginning to appreciate women more, particularly these days that we have some more women in authority. When we visited you with our president a few months ago, you promised to support us. And despite the fact that you have your own retreat and program tomorrow, you found time to be with us. Not just to be with us, you have demonstrated uncommon knowledge and dexterity in handling today's session. And I want to promise you, madam, most of our members will be on the look tomorrow to join you at your event, because every event is an opportunity for us to upscale our skill. And at NCRIB, skill is key. Thank you for coming, madam. Oh, my brother and my friend, Ben, how now? Our market. I'm sure after today, you are going to see the difference in your balance sheet. When we approached you to join and support this event, you took it despite the fact that we were in a retreat created by COVID-19. Nobody knows, everybody's watching their balance sheet. Nobody knows where the next income will come and what told me to come. Despite that, you have come to support us. The Lord who has put in your heart to support us will enrich you and bless you accordingly. I want to promise you on behalf of brokers, you may not know that you have the widest reach today because people are watching, our members in the diaspora are part of us. Ordinarily, you'll have had about 250 people here, but you have over 400 people on the loop, and that is a plus for you. So, Ibichi SLD, let somebody interpret to you. He's a Lagos man, don't mind it. And I want to thank our secretariat for a wonderful job, particularly my brother who is an ebullient team player, a wordsmith of one of the greatest commands, Temitokwe Alaba Adaramola. He's made himself he's worked beyond his schedule. He's always been there, never tired, never worried. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. And I want to thank our members at the Events Organizing Committee, my colleagues, my professional colleagues, CEOs, particularly the ladies who are always there, despite their schedule. You know, women do so many things. We will get home and put our legs on the table and say, where's the meal? But they do everything that we do. They still make the meals, they mother us, they mother our children. Thank you very much. And thank you for your efforts. Thank you for everything. For everybody who's taking time out, not minding the exposure to COVID-19, even though we have taken time to ensure that we comply with the protocols of COVID-19 in arranging this event. I want to thank you for coming. The CEO Empowerment Series has come to stay. What we have not had this year is the CEO's retreat because we have missed our backslapping, and what did they say? Backslapping, not stabbing. And the football match and the various outdoor games. By the grace of God, we are going to have it next year. Thank you. See you next year.
To you online. And please don't forget to log into the Lagos Chamber of Commerce Insurance Industry Trade Group seminar tomorrow. It's going to be addressed by the Commissioner for Insurance, as well as some eminent personalities, including under the supervision of the President of the LCCI, Mrs. Toki Mabugunje. So on this note, we thank you very much, and God bless you all. Right. Okay.